Hey everyone, this is Ivo Remo McLean for live once again, and I want to welcome everyone back to another video. And of course, I'm going to review the fourth movie in the Fast and the Furious installment in the franchise. And today, I'm going to review and talk about this Fast and Furious, which came out March 12, 2009, which is the fourth movie in the series. And I don't know, this is gonna be my rant and movie review, cause this movie it kind of feels really lackluster. It kind of feels like the worst in the franchise because I listen to people who say that it's the worst one, and I kind of start to believe this really is the worst in the franchise. I'll still say F9 is the worst one. This will be the second worst one. I mean, I don't know what happened to this film. It's really a sad, and I bring a bad news, but this really did not feel like Fast and the Furious. I don't know. Maybe the story was just rushed, and the plot kind of made no sense. Maybe the colors were kind of awful. The pacing felt all over the place. The film. The acting performance wasn't that good to begin with. I don't know what happened to this film. This was directed once again by Justin Lin and Chris Morgan. And Justin Lin and written by Chris Morgan, not directed. I made a mistake. But this movie had a lot of mistakes. There were stuff in the film that I like, but there was stuff in the film that I don't know what happened. I don't know what just happened to this film. It kind of feels like forgettable from time to time. I mean, the sequences, the editing was terrible, was poorly paced. I'm sorry, the editing was terrible, the colors was terrible, the story made no sense to me. I mean, it's confusing, the plot. This was always confusing film. Even though I watched it many times, it's confusing, and I still don't get in the story. And I'm just gonna start with the plot. It starts in the Dominican Republic, which we can see also harness in this movie. This is the prequel to the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. And like I said, the first the Fast and the Furious I like a lot. Too Fast, Too Furious, I love to death. The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, I loved the movie to death. This was a step back from all three of them. And I would say the worst in the series because this was really lackluster. So we see we see Dominic and Letty. I'm just gonna show you this picture. Dominic and Letty in Dominican Republic, they're still in those trucks, probably with gas, they're probably still in the trucks. And it kind of feels like Mad Max the same time, when in the first Mad Max, when those bikers were still in the gas, on the trucks, they were still in gas. And open scene starts with a hijacking of gas or whatever, or oils or whatever the truck driver was actually transporting. They were still in those. They were still in. Those trailers. They were still in whatever was in those trailers that the truck driver was actually transporting. And there was a hill down there. There was on the road the truck, the tank gas, starts rolling, and Vin Diesel drives the car and avoids it, and it hits off the road, and the whole trailer with the truck falls down, and there's an explosion. Looks like a CGI explosion. And Dominic is still now a fugitive. So Han says that he's gonna return back to Tokyo, that there's some crazy shit, so he goes back to Tokyo. And Dominic goes to Panama. I don't know why the fuck he's in Panama. He leaves his girlfriend, Letty, behind. I don't know why. Why the fuck he let her? Because he thought that she's in danger. Why? She's the love of his life. And he left her. So like suddenly in Panama he gets a call, and his sister Mia, she tells him that Letty's being killed. So Dominic goes back to Los Angeles. Back in LA, Brian O'Connor is now an FBI agent, which I like that stuff that Brian O'Connor, one of my favorite characters, he's FBI agent, and he is pursuing this guy who works for the drug deal, for a famous drug lord, Arturo Braga. He's a Mexican and famous drug lord from Mexico, and of course everyone is looking for Dominic because they're sure that Dominic is gonna came back, because his girlfriend Letty has been murdered. So Dominic returns and he visits. He goes and he visits Mia, and Mia, she goes and she puts him, on the. He wants to see the crash site. He goes to see the crash site, and we see like what happened. Is he a psychic? He's no psychic. How the crash happened? He's no fucking psychic. He's not a criminal investigator. He's not a cop. He's not a CSI forensic. So he can't just like show how the crash happened or who shot her. He can't do that. He's no psychic. That's another terrible story. And when I actually read that, why was the worst one? There was mentioned that the complaint about like how he imagined what happened to Letty, how she was killed. He's not a psychic. He's not a CSI forensic. He's not a scientist. He's just a driver. He's not a psychic or a scientist to rebuild or imagine how Letty was killed. They should not do that. That's another problem in the film. So he finds a name, and that's David Park, and the same information Brian finds out about this David Park. David Park is looking for those drivers, which they're looking for street race drivers for Arturo Braga, and I don't know that mainly there's a scene when Dom finds him and he grabs the guy, shows him out of the window, and I read that was done for real. The actor, I think it was the actor Ron Yuan who played David Park. He actually did had that migraine and claustrophobic. He had migraine and claustrophobic. And director Justin Lin wanted that scene to be right, so that was done for real. If he wouldn't, he threatened that he will do it, so that was done for real. That was a good scene, a good shot, and Brian shows up, and says, look, Dom, let him go. Letty was my friend, and I love when he responds, says, "You are none of us, friend." Cop, you are none of us, friend O'Connor. And he let him go and says, "I'm gonna kill everyone that's standing on my way." And he let him go, and that was a really good scene. And we also see when once again, Brian, he reconnects with Mia, and Stasiak, his superior officer, he goes for questioning her about Dominic, and of course Brian, he takes her out to the lunch. He fucks up Stasiak and he takes her out to the lunch, and she tells him, maybe you were a bad guy, pretend to be a good guy, or why should you let him go? And he says, "I don't know." And when he finds David Park, Stasiak grabs him and he goes and crosses him down. I like that scene. He's all bloody. Like that scene. And of course, there's a street race, and it's completely different street race like we saw in the second, the third movie, or even the first movie. It's completely, the street race is kind of terrible. And like four drivers, they actually driving, they go They go through the traffic, which is actually real traffic at night. They go to the traffic, and they hit all the lights, and of course Brian, he escapes, almost catches. He would won Dominic, but Dominic hit him, so he lost the control over his car. Brian, he lost the control of his car, and he was a loser, and he lost. And Dominic win the race, and he starts working for Braga because he said that he's gonna kill Braga because he killed Letty. And yeah, and of course Brian, this guy who keeps blabbering and talking to his mouth. Brian goes in as FBI. They go and arrest him for meth. Of course, it wasn't a real allegation, but but he takes his place. And of course Dominic and Brian, once again they reconnected. They once again reunited, which I like that. But I don't know, the last of the film kind of fails over the place. We also do get Gal Gadot as Giselle. She works for Braga, and I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I can't talk anymore because I forgot what then happened. The final scenes was that they are smuggling, I think it was heroin. They're smuggling through they actually go in with the cars. They actually go into Mexico in the trailer, and they actually have to drive and transport those heroin through Mexico, to the United States, through the tunnels, which I don't know what happened at night. The night, even though this is Blu-ray, the night scene, the night scenes are just so terrible, probably difficult shot. I can even barely see the night scenes. No cars, have no lights. It was just barely I could even see, especially because it was so much CGI in it. And they then go to across the border, and of course the guy wants to kill all the drivers, and then he finds out that after the delivery is done, this guy Felix kills all the drivers, does not leave any evidence behind. And Dominic, he puts that gas or nitro or whatever, whole car explodes, and there's this guy and Vin Diesel goes, kicks everyone's ass. This guy shoots him right here in the shoulder, and it's like Vin Diesel didn't even feel the pain. You see, you see that blood spits, but he didn't see a pain. He did not feel any pain. He was shot in the back, and he didn't feel any pain. I don't understand. Is he a Terminator? Is he indestructible Terminator that he doesn't even feels anything? That's impossible. This was a mistake in my opinion. And of course Brian grabs the Uzi, starts firing everyone, steals the car, they escape. And his superior tells him bring the shipment and Toretto back. He will disobey the order. He gets then suspended, and of course they go on the meet. Actually, no, he doesn't get suspended first. Dominic calls Giselle for the meeting, so they meet each other. Because they want to see Braga. This guy who's not the right Braga shows up, and there's of course a huge firepower. Excuse me. And of course it turns out that Campos is actually Arturo Braga. The guy in the suit was a decoy. It was a decoy. Arturo Braga was Campos all this time in order to hide his true identity. And with Phoenix he escapes, and of course they get the wrong man, and Brian then gets suspended. then he decides, so Dominic promised that he's gonna go on a revenge. He's gonna hunt down Braga. He will go to Mexico, and Brian decides that he's gonna help him. He's gonna catch, and I don't know this. So he meets Mia, and I don't know what the fuck was with Mia. She looks so, I don't know, so sad in her eyes. She goes in the kitchen, and Brian shows up, and there's a sex scene. I forgot to mention, Giselle shows her tits, like she will be naked. Probably she wasn't wearing underwear, Gal Gadot in that scene when Dominic was looking for the ride. It's just, I don't know, it's just, the street racing was just terrible in this movie. I don't know, the CGI felt all over the place. So there's a love scene which was terrible shot from Mia, and Brian was just terrible. I mean, this was just terrible. So by the end, they go to the Mexico, they meet Giselle. Giselle tells them that he's in this church. They go both to the church, and Brian and Dominic has a shotgun, Brian with a gun. They go, he aims the shotgun on Braga's head. Dominic, but doesn't shoot him. They go in the car, and they escape, and Phoenix in his car goes after them. They go to the fucking tunnel, which the tunnel sequence was just terrible. Somehow he escapes. Phoenix, his car rolls over, and I'm surprised that he was even alive. If that would be for real, he would be dead. Braga is somehow alright. Phoenix goes, saves him. Brian is all bloody, beat up, and of course, there's a scene that Dominic tries to escape. He jumps off the car to another car. The car crashes. He escapes his pursuers. He goes off the tunnel, and he goes and hits Phoenix. That's the only good scene. He hits Phoenix. Phoenix tries to escape. Like he tried to shoot Brian, and Brian grabs him, and the car jumps right and hits him. That's a good scene. And then of course Brian tells him, Dominic, go, get out of here. And he says, no, I'm gonna stay this time. And he does. He stays. And he goes to the judge. The judge tells him that that one good deed doesn't make right for all the other deeds that he did. So he gets sent to Lompoc State Prison, 25 years to life. Which I don't know what was 25 years to life. He didn't kill anyone. He didn't kill anyone. And if I remember, he was only stealing stuff. So I don't think he will got 25 years to life, because he didn't kill anyone. He was a thief, not a killer. So why was he sentenced for 25 years? What the fuck did he do that he was sent for 25 to life in prison? Which I don't get it. So by the end, he's on a bus, and Mia and Brian with 2 cars shows up, and those 2 other guys, Don Omar and Tego Calderon. Tego and Don Omar shows up, and of course then the movie ends. Now, like I said, the plot story is terrible. It's just, I don't know, new model, original parts. I don't know, it's just, this feels like the weakest one of all 4 films. I know, it just feels like a weakest film of all 4. I don't know, the tunnel sequences, especially the night scenes, were so, I don't know, they put too many CGI in it, or was just unrealistic. The tunnel sequences was just, it just wasn't well executed. And my biggest problem was Brian O'Connor's car. He got Subaru Impreza, a Subaru, while this guy, Phoenix, he got Chevrolet Camaro, much better car, faster car, and I couldn't even believe how Brian escaped or elusive with so terrible car, Subaru Impreza, which just barely, I don't think that it was the fastest car. Kind of, especially even the cars that Brian picked up was terrible. The CGI was terrible. The picture quality was terrible. Especially the final scenes were terrible. The acting performance was just over the place. Brian Tyler's music score wasn't that much good, especially the soundtracks weren't that good at all. And one of the biggest problems was actually Michelle Rodriguez. That was one of the biggest problems because they go and kill off Letty in this movie. Yes, Letty's been killed in this movie. Leticia Ortiz, or Letty Ortiz, she gets killed. She's killed in this movie. She's barely in the film. She's killed off in this movie and she's barely in this film. She gets killed off. Why? I mean, she's barely in this film and she gets killed. And they should not kill Letty in this movie. I'm glad they resurrected her in the Fast and Furious 6. But this is just terrible. Mia in this movie is useless, except on the end when she drives the car. She is useless in this movie. Yes, she doesn't do jack shit in this movie. She's useless. Letty's killed way too soon. She's killed way too soon. And like I said, the problem is Dominic is not a scientist. He's not a psychic that he can reimagine how Letty was killed. You can't do that. Why was even shown that? You can't do that. And I don't know, it's just the story about chasing this drug lord. I thought we already had drug lord in Too Fast, Too Furious. I thought Carter Verone was the drug lord that the custom service was looking for. So now FBI is looking for this drug dealer Arturo Braga. The whole movie, it's just not convincing enough. The good things is that Vin Diesel and Paul Walker are reunited. That's the only good thing about the film. And that we got new cast like Giselle, Gal Gadot. She returns in the next sequel. And part 6, Fast and Furious 6, Fast and Furious 6. And Fast 5, she's in those two sequels, so that's the only good thing about the film. We also got David Don Omar. I think he sang a song in Too Fast, Too Furious, or was the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. But Don Omar and Tego, they were both in this film. And also Han was in this film, but he wasn't that much in the film either. Another problem was that Han wasn't that much in this film either. He was like only two shots in it. And of course, Tego and Don Omar, they're only in the open scene, and they show that in the final scene. I mean, not much enough Han in this film. Not much enough Letty in this film. Michelle Rodriguez, not much Mia in this film to do. She's useless in this movie. She doesn't do anything. The action sequences just feels over the place. CGI is terrible. The colors are terrible. It's just isn't that much good of a film, in my opinion. It just isn't that much good of a film. I mean, it doesn't feel like Fast and the Furious. It is a part of the franchise, but it doesn't feel like Fast and the Furious. And I think this is the second worst in the series, and probably my least favorite. And the story, like the tunnels, or when they actually the nice scenes, you can barely see. I think it was difficult to shot. You can barely see when the cars, they're flying, they're actually racing. The street races are terrible. This movie, this is not the Fast and the Furious. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like Mad Max, and like the final shot in Mexico when during daylight when Brian races with Subaru, and goes to find those tunnels, it looks like it's the Road Warrior. It looks like the director steals the scenes of the Road Warrior and he put bunch of cars flying for and chasing Brian. And it also feels like they stole and borrowed the scene from the Delta Force to the Colombian connection with Chuck Norris, because Chuck Norris went to get this drug dealer, Ramon Cota, or I forgot his name, played by Billy Drago. This movie feels like the same story, like Brian and Dominic, they go back to get this guy, to get Braga, and they try to escape while they've been chased. And it feels like this film still scenes from Mad Max and Delta Force to the Colombian connection. That's how it feels. And I like having this movie for the collection, but it's just, I don't know, it just isn't that much. It isn't that much good of a film to begin with, and I'm not saying it's a terrible film. I'm not saying anything disrespectful, because there's stuff that I like when Dom and Brian, they're building the cars and their engine. I like that scene. But there's stuff that is just doesn't feels like Fast and Furious. I mean, the action, this barely is any action. Or the scene that he gets shot in the shoulder, in the back, doesn't feel even pain. I mean, Dominic is not a Terminator. He's not a cyborg. He's not a Terminator. He's a human being. So he sure felt a pain, and he acts like he doesn't feel anything. And he's not a scientist or a forensic or a psychic that he can imagine how Letty was killed, because that's also feels over the place. And I think it was rushed. I think this movie was rushed. I think the studio wanted, because Vin Diesel, he wanted this movie to be shot back to back with 4 and 5, but the studio wanted how the fourth movie will be actually. And that's the reason they did not went the way he wanted to do. So this was once again $85 million, just like the third one, and it made $360 million worldwide. It surpassed the third one. It's definitely in the worldwide. And the box office surpassed the third one, but I'll say the third one is much better to me. I love the third one. I would say I'll put the third one above this film. I'll put Too Fast, Too Furious above this film, because Too Fast, Too Furious isn't the film that was like serious, taken serious. No. They had fun. Paul Walker carried the story on. He was great in that movie. This movie, he's like stone cold cyborg. He feels like a cyborg. I mean, oh my god, this movie, I'm sorry, but Paul Walker, your performance was really weak in this movie. I'm sorry, Paul Walker, please don't hate me, but your performance in this movie was really weak. I mean, you did much better in the first two movies than you did in this movie. You did much better in part 5 and 6, and later in part 7, the scenes that you filmed. But this movie was just your performance, not that acting-wise. I'm sorry, Paul Walker, but his performance was just lackluster. I'm sorry. I don't know what else is to say about this film. I mean, too much CGI, too much colors, and this would be to me the weakest one of the series. Yes, this is the weak link of all 10 movies so far, the weakest one. Probably to me, I'll say the second worst one, but what did you expect? It's not an Oscar film still. There's still stuff in it, like Michelle Rodriguez still did a good job. I wish she would be more in the film. I wish her performance would be much better. I wish she would be killed off way too soon. I wish Mia would have much to do like she did in the next installments. I don't know, it's been like 3 years since since they actually since the third movie came out, they released this one 2009. I don't know what much to say about this film. I mean, I really don't have much anything to say about this film. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm glad I have this film for the series. But even though it's a bad sequel, that's still I'm still not gonna say that I hate this film. I'm still not gonna trash this film. Because there's still stuff in the film that I liked, but there's also stuff in the film that just doesn't. I don't know. It just feels like a lackluster film, like lackluster that fell. The pace is all over the place. That's rushed with the plot hole. The story is just confusing. It just doesn't. It has plot holes in the film that even I can't understand. I was such to say lackluster sequel. But I'm still not gonna say it's the worst. Okay, it is the worst in the series, but it's not a bad movie. It's not the worst movie. I've seen worse, but yeah. So that's my rant and movie review on Fast and Furious 2009. Thanks for watching. Take care. By the way, no, I don't hate this film. I have a mixed feelings for this film, but it's not enjoyable, but still not a good movie. So that's it for today, guys. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Which I'm gonna review my favorite in the series and one of my favorite action films. That's gonna be Fast 5, which I love that movie much more. I'm out, and take care. Have a good day, and bye bye.